Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think I'll preface my remarks by reminding the members of this committee that we are both from Texas, and I really like him.
We can adjourn now if you want. No. Thank you. Appreciate that.
And today we are marking up the First Act, which reauthorizes some of the agencies and programs for the America Competes Act. The Competes Act was landmark bipartisan legislation based on the recommendations of the esteemed national academies that sought to ensure that America's continued scientific preeminence and grow our innovation economy. Unfortunately, the First Act falls far short of the legacy of Competes. Where the Competes Act was clearly focused on spurring innovation, the First Act seems preoccupied with questioning the motives of America's premier science agency and the integrity of the scientists it funds. Where the Competes Act focused on broadly lifting America's commitment to sciences, the First Act instead seeks to pit different scientific disciplines against one another. Where the Competes Act sought to provide a clear vision and stability to our science agencies, the First Act instead provides them with a year's worth of authorization at levels below those provided by our own Appropriations Committee. In short, the First Act is an opportunity lost. That's really too bad, Mr. Chairman, because the issues we are dealing with today are important, and we need a legislative approach that is equal to the task. It is about believing in our scientific and technical communities who have made so many of the great discoveries and innovations which shape our lives today. And it is about making sustained investments today to ensure our children and grandchildren have the strong innovation economy we have all enjoyed because of prior investments. The last point is key. I know that some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will say that because of our national debt, we can't afford to make these investments in our future. I think that's dead wrong and a false economy. I say we can't afford not to make these investments. In reality, trading a future where America is no longer the world's leader in science and innovation for a slightly lower debt today is a choice to diminish the prospects of our children and grandchildren. My friend Norm Augustine, whom I will visit with later today at his request, the former head of Lockheed Martin, is fond of comparing the situation to that of an overloaded plane. You don't lighten the load by throwing off the engines. It's a great comparison because our science agencies are the innovation engines of our economy. Shortchanging these agencies will only lead to our economy stalling out in the future. Mr. Chairman, I'm not the only person who thinks there are serious problems with First Act. Broad coalitions of stakeholders have written to the committee expressing concern or outright opposition to a First Act. A short list of these groups include the Task Force for American Innovation, which includes many of America's leading high-tech companies from all sectors of our economy, the Science Coalition, which is composed of America's leading research universities and scientific societies, the Association of American Universities, the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, and the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Moreover, in a move that may have been unprecedented, last month the National Science Board issued a statement outlining its concerns with First Act. Maybe these groups felt like they had to write these letters because they didn't have a chance to comment to the committee at a hearing. When we last reauthorized Competes in 2010, the committee held scores of hearings on the various aspects of the bill with all manner of outside stakeholders, including the affected agencies. I would have thought that given the range of concerns expressed about First Act by a wide range of industry and university stakeholders, the committee would have scheduled hearings to allow them to present their case and provide an opportunity for members to listen to them. That would have been our highest priority in scheduling of hearings. But unfortunately, other hearing topics were given precedence, and this legislation is worse for it. I can't help but feel that the bill we are marking up today could have been much improved if we had spent just a little more time hearing from the scientific and business communities on their thoughts on what they think is needed in the First Act. After all, they are the ones doing the science and developing our high-tech products and services. Perhaps we might also have spent that time hearing from agencies being authorized by this bill. But instead of listening to the experts and finding out their needs and concerns and reflecting those concerns in this reauthorization, we have a bill before us today that projects a distrust of scientists and the scientific process. I don't think any of this has reflected well on the committee, and it is unfortunate that it has detracted from our ability to develop a good bipartisan bill. I do want to note some positive improvements in NIST and STEM education portions of the bill, and I appreciate the chair and his staff for working with us on these provisions. I wish that cooperation had extended to the rest of First Act. In closing, I wish we were at a different point today. More than anything, I would like to support a bipartisan reauthorization of Competes Act, but I can't support a bill that violates the basic principles that underlay the Competes Act. Unless there are significant changes made to the First Act, I will have to oppose the bill and encourage others to do so as well. Before I yield back, however, I have 20 letters from various scientific, academic, and industry associations and societies expressing concern or opposition to the First Act that I ask to be inserted into the record.
Without objection, and the gentlewoman yields back.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.